Hi, my name is Avianna Torres, and the first UDL influenced by weekly reflection that I'm deciding to talk about is the meme. I chose to explain this one because I thought it was very unique and I'd never actually had to create a meme before. I thought that it would be fairly easy to do, but when actually creating it, it was a lot more work and it took a lot more thinking than I thought that it would take. The first meme that I have here was about one of the content standards that me and my co-teachers had chosen. It was one out of the three that we originally had chosen, which was a student trying to understand what it means to be a good citizen and being tempted by choosing to do the opposite by breaking rules and accepting the consequences, but when they should be focusing on following the rules and acting in a certain way as directed, and that was content standard K.1.1. The second one was also a content standard, K.4.1, and it was about determining relative locations by using correct terms. I chose this picture for the meme because I thought it would be a great situation where you should know relative locations. So if you were giving directions and someone asked, how far are we, where is the next exit? The person saying, it's still quite far, just continue straight, and they're saying, oh wait, it's right in front of us, turn right here. It would be important to know the relative locations of keep going, it's far, keep going straight, or it's very near, so you need to turn right here. The other one is the content standard that me and my co-teachers actually did work on, and it's just about gaining knowledge and having like the ultimate knowledge, and knowledge is power. So it starts just, oh yeah, I know and remember the days of the week, to knowing and remembering all 12 months and how many days are in each. And then it becomes, oh, I remember all of the important days and events and dates that are in a calendar. And then you have all of the knowledge when you learn the content standard of K.5, which is understanding how to put events in temporal order and properly applying it by using a calendar. The final meme was about just challenges for one of the questions, and it was just remembering to incorporate SJE, CSP, and UDL while also creating a lesson plan for each content standard, which I thought was we were going to create a lesson plan for all three, but it was just having to go back and forth and make sure that each one of these was incorporated into the lesson plan when working with the content standard. The second UDL influenced bi-weekly reflection that I chose to explain is my s'more. I want to explain this more because I feel like it's what I am most comfortable with. It's what I've used mostly throughout this course, and then I think I will use even after this course. So this was about some of the texts that we read, the class discussions, and the applications that we used. So for culturally sustaining pedagogy, the two important tenets of CSP is having a pluralist society through education and embracing youth culture. The key concepts impact teaching and learning because they both try to build on including linguistic, literate, and cultural practices of different communities in the classroom to reach the goal of creating equity and access for all students. As a teacher, I must take into consideration the diversity of my classroom because the knowledge, skills, and practices we present should reflect on and relate to the members of the community in order to have a multilingual and multicultural society. For universal design for learning, the key concepts of UDL is that you must know what you're presenting, so that way you can present it in all different ways when you're designing the lesson plan, and you know all the different ways that you plan on teaching it in order to engage all students by interacting with all their preferred learning styles. This content impacts teaching because it requires the teacher to eliminate barriers while designing the lessons. Therefore, it will reduce having failures and having to make accommodations, which will impact the learning because it will increase motivation and achievement, which makes students feel like they can succeed. What I must take into consideration as a teacher is how my students learn best. By teaching and presenting knowledge in a variety of ways, it'll allow students to engage in curriculum in a way that's easiest for them to understand. And then these are the images that I use to represent universal design for learning. For social justice in education, the key concepts of it were that educators must encourage critical thinking when examining social justice in the classroom, and that you must provide a safe space for students to have discussions and self-reflections in order to have a successful educational environment. It will impact the teaching and learning, and it should be student-centered to engage the students in critical analysis that will allow them to empower classroom spaces and make a move towards social change. I must acknowledge the students' identities and adequately address social justice to have effective conversations that will resonate most with my classroom. And in the particular class discussions that we had during our asynchronous Zoom meeting, the key concepts that I took away were about using all three tenets that we read about in the text to prepare us to think about how we would implement these into the classroom that we choose to teach for our DODL. This impacts teaching and learning because if we can't think of ways to implement all three of these tenets, then we wouldn't be able to successfully teach our lessons and create equity for our students. What I must take into consideration as a teacher, besides the classroom, is the overall school and district, which is where we learn about the environments using the resources that we had with our meeting with Matthew. So with the policy map here, I went into depth about the environment of the school, which was Sanctuary Elementary. And for our school accountability report card, we got to learn about student achievements and the environment and their demographics. And with the California school dashboard, we also got to learn about their performance and engagement overall.